Hey everyone, I hope that you're blessed and that you're all doing well. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me in another video. Now, before we get started, please subscribe to my channel. Also share, like, and drop a comment. Also hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I upload a new video. As always, I appreciate everyone's support. Now let's get into our topic, and that is how to break or stop a bad habit effectively. Now, we all have bad habits, things in our lives that are not particularly helpful or useful, things that we would like to stop, and in some cases, things that are just downright destructive. In this video, I'm going to share with you a few strategies that have been helpful to my life. Hopefully, it will bless your life as well. Strategies that have helped me to stop my bad habits and to form new patterns and new ways of living my life. Now, we have to keep in mind that there are ranges to these habits. It can range from small or from large, or to severe or to less severe. You know, go from, the habit of overeating to the more severe of drug and alcohol abuse. But whatever the habit is, whatever range it falls into, whatever level it's at, we do need to eradicate these things. We do need to remove it out of our lives, because in the long run, it's not any good for us. In the long run, it will keep us from our potential. In the long run, it will stop us from the places where we need to go and the things that we need to do. In the long run, it's going to waste time and waste parts of our life that we never be able to get back. So it's very important. It's a good thing if you're watching this video, you've identified you have some habits in your life. Some of us are not even at that point, but that you've identified you have some habits and some things that you would like to change. So that's a very good thing. That's a good start. So you've identified it. Now it's time to stop it. Here's strategy number one. Strategy number one is remove and replace. We need to understand that in order to break a habit, we have to change our behavior. Change in behavior helps to break a habit, especially a bad habit, right? What we need to understand also is that habits are created by repetition. So what we do over and over again can form a habit. And sometimes, because we do things over and over again, we don't realize that we're forming habits. And sometimes those habits are bad habits. But whatever we do repetitively, we could be forming a habit. So habits are created by repetition, and that creates a pattern. And, then at that point, your brain is wired. And at that point, your brain also goes on autopilot. And sometimes you realize we do things and we've done something. We don't realize we've done it because we've formed that habit, and our brain just goes into, automatic autopilot. And we just instinctively just do that thing that we don't want to do. But there is good news. The good news is that we can break these patterns. The good news is that we can form new behaviors. The good news is that there is hope for each and every one of us. The good news is that we can create new ways of being and living our lives more in a more fruitful and prosperous way. So in strategy number one, with removing and replacing, what I have done in my life, I've replaced what I found to be effective. I've replaced the bad habits with good habits. So, for example, in my life, I had the bad habit of overeating, snacking too much, eating late at night. Some of you watching me have that issue as well. So what helped me to stop that is that I had to replace it with a good habit. And that the good habit was I had to change my behavior. So the change was intermittent fasting. So basically, there's a period of time in a day where I'm eating, and then there's a period when I'm not eating. So, that helped me to draw boundaries with food, and that helped me to establish, a new pattern in a new way. So I replaced a good habit over that bad habit, right? So I found that's what's a strategy that's been highly effective in my life. And what it did for me when I started in that new habit, and it did take time, these things take time, I found that, I lost the weight, and then I didn't have certain cravings certain times of the day, and then I was able to take control over that area of my life. And now my body expects for me, because I formed a new habit, to fast at certain times of the day. So you can replace a bad habit with a good habit, and that I found that to be a very effective strategy. So remove and replace it. You remove it by replacing it with something good, something that that's going to be beneficial to your life. The second thing is how to effectively stop bad habits. The second strategy is create an inconvenience. So don't make it convenient for yourself to fall back into that bad habit, to fall back into that pattern. So don't make it convenient for yourself. So I'm going to draw another example from my life is back in the day, once upon a time, I used to have a problem with the television. So, I would find that I would stay up late past midnight watching TV, binging on programs, watching nonsensical stuff all throughout the night. And then the next day, because I didn't get enough sleep, I wasn't 100%. The next day I was cranky and groggy and, hangry and angry and, just not myself and not, 100%. So I knew that was a bad habit, and I knew I needed to stop doing that. And I knew I needed my rest, and I knew that TV was the culprit. So I found what the problem was is that the TV was in my bedroom, in the area in my home that where I at least find, where I could get the most comfortable. So what I did was I relocated the TV to an area of my home that was the least comfortable. So when I did decide to watch TV, I wouldn't watch it as long. So I made television watching a little less convenient. And then, going forward, going to my bedroom, I knew that was just solely for sleep, right? So, and I know people who've also had issues with the TV, and they have gone as far as to remove the TVs from their home in general, just period. So sometimes, depending on who, your situation and who you are and what the habit is doing to your life and what sort of negative impact is having in your life, sometimes we do have to take drastic measures in order to make permanent and positive changes in our lives. So sometimes the TV has to go all the way out or whatever it is. So just keep that in mind. So just make it very inconvenient for yourself to not to fall into that habit, right? Don't make it easy for yourself to fall back into that habit, right? Or back into that pattern or back into that way of being. I found that to be a very, very effective strategy. Don't make it convenient for yourself. The next thing is to, this is a very important one, the next important strategy is to get support, get help, right? When I think about that, I think about Alcoholics Anonymous, right? AA. AA isn't effective because, it's been scientifically proven that, it helps people to stop drinking. I think AA isn't effective because it provides a platform and it helps people to form new patterns of behavior around alcohol and alcohol consumption, right? So I think that's why AA has helped so many people, right? Also with that is that not only are these people forming new behaviors around alcohol, they get what's called a sponsor. So someone who's been in a program a long while and someone who's been sober for a period of years, and that person becomes the incoming person in the program that becomes their sponsor, and that person that basically holds them accountable, that person that helps them along their journey, in sobriety. So the same thing with us. So we need to find support. So along with the change of behavior, we also need to find some people and things that we need to introduce into our lives that will help us to basically continue on in our journey of changing our behavior and forming new patterns and forming new habits, right? And that will keep us away from those bad habits. So sometimes in order to stop a bad habit, you may have to disassociate yourself from certain people, stay out of certain environments, keep things out of your home. So I found, once again, I'm going back to food because that was one of my biggest vices. There's certain foods I just don't buy. So if it's not there, I'm not going to, eat it, right? So junk food doesn't come into my home, and I don't make it very convenient for myself. Once again, going back to my other point is that, if I want food, basically I have to cook it. I have to cook it. So, but we have to find, a support system, depending especially on the severity of the habit, or if it's a habit that has gone into full-blown addiction, and it could be something that's destroying our lives. So we have to just make sure that we get a good support system, accountability partners, someone who's going to be there for you. I mean, there's online support groups, there's people, there's friends, who may have, going through some of the same things you're going through, and that has been on a journey to breaking certain destructive patterns in their lives, and they've been there, done that, and they can help you out too. Or if it means going into a program like AA or going to therapy, you got to do it. You got to do it if you're serious about changing your life, and if you're serious about inviting abundance and prosperity and goodness and positivity in your life. So sometimes we really have to get aggressive, and we really have to pull all stops to, to stop the bad habit, right? And also, it's what's helpful is to use technology. So if you don't have money for certain groups or to be a part of certain things, I found that technology has been helpful, just things on our phone, right? So for example, going back to my old bad habit of watching too much television, what's helped me now is, I'm replacing that with, with the good habit of reading more. So instead of watching TV, I'm reading more. So there's some hardcover books that I'm reading and some audio books that I'm listening through. And there's an app on my phone that I put on there that will remind me to read throughout the day, and I'm like, okay, I didn't read enough. I need to go about 30 minutes today. So there's apps if you want to get into the habit, the good habit, you're replacing a bad habit, but you want to get into the good habit of meditating more or praying more. There's meditation apps that you can download. There's apps to help you sleep more. So if you're in a bad habit of staying up too late, there's an app and there's something out there. Use technology that will tell you to go to bed or to wind down or to call it a night. There's apps if you're on your phone too much and you're compulsively grabbing your phone and compulsively on social media, compulsively checking text messages, and you just can't get off your phone. There's an app. There's technology out there that will remind you to get off your phone and to power down, to shut down, and to take a break. So use technology. Technology can, be great and can be very helpful to our lives. So what I found to be helpful to me is to get support. I've had accountability partners throughout my life. I've had prayer groups and, people that I've connected with, teams of people, individual people. I'm now using technology to help me out. So do whatever you can to get the support you need so you can keep on a good path and that you can continue to stop the bad habit and to break the bad patterns. And finally, I just want to say to you all, please don't give up. These things, they take time. They take time. So give yourself time and grace. These things do not happen overnight. For example, I've spoken other videos about my food addiction. That took about a year for me to rewire my brain, for me to break those bad habits of overeating and eating the wrong thing. It took me about a year to break out of that. And for some people, it may even take longer, but it may take a year. It may take months. It may take weeks. However long it takes, whatever you do, don't give up. You fall off the wagon, get back on the wagon, don't quit. There are many times in my journey and different habits, bad habits I wanted to break where, I relapsed, where, I failed, where I went right back into it. When I realized, oh man, I'm doing it again, I stopped, got right back on the wagon, started all over again. And once again, going back to repetition, as I started over and over and over again, those bad habits, I had less of an impulse, less of a need to go and do it, right? As I continue to do the things that I know that were a blessing and that were helpful to my life, the good habits, right? So give yourself time, give yourself grace. You may fail. Many of us fail along the journey, but guess what? Don't give up on yourself and keep on with it. That's basically what I wanted to share with you in this video. Take care and God bless, and I will see you in the next video.